please raise your hand. Kareem.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
Terrible.
What happened in that second half?
I think it's a combination of things. Number one, they upped their pressure. We embarrassed them in the first half, and they embarrassed us in the second half. Unfortunately, the second half counted a little bit more the way they played. The shots we made early in the game, we didn't make any of those in the second half. When we have a game with only one person double figures, that's probably not a good sign for us. We went from shooting 50-something% to 42%. Probably we shot 30-something% in the second half. We missed a whole bunch of shots down the stretch. We missed free throws. And when they upped their energy, start of the second half, we didn't match it. And that's on us.
How do you get more help for Tina? She's carrying so much of a load,
Well, we're not getting any new players, so the ones that are here have to make shots. I mean, when you go down the list of 2 for 9, 3 for 9, 3 for 11, 3 for 9, they have to make shots. That's that simple. I don't think we executed real well. I mean, we had, I think, 2 turnovers at halftime and 6 in the second half, and the 6 that we had were costly. Led to runouts and one play. We didn't do a good job in that area.
Does Ariel need to be more aggressive?
I don't know. I'm not going to comment until I watch the tape. She's getting beat up and banged around, but I don't think she's one of those players that we need practices for to kind of get her going the right way. And I don't know when the last time we had a regular practice is. But that would help. Hopefully we'll get a couple this week and kind of get some people back on track.
What'd you think of Shatori's first game back?
It was good. She didn't know a lot of, not that she didn't know, she's just trying to get familiar with her teammates, and learn how to play with them. She hasn't played with a lot of those guys. And I thought, first game back was pretty good.
You kind of talk about them bringing more energy. Do you think did things change for you guys on the defensive end? Was that just purely energy, or do you think there was something else kind of going on there?
Well, I think that on their offensive end, I think that they decided to kind of play bully ball, and Leilani and Jasmine Jones basically kind of put their head down and drove it as deep as they could, and there was a lot of contact and physicality. And, when they did that, they kind of took control of the physical part of the game. There weren't a lot of whistles in the first half, and there were a whole bunch of whistles in the second half. I think they shot maybe 14 free throws in the second half. So we just when teams start overplaying, they started switching more. They're more aggressive on their defensive end. I thought we got tentative offensively. And then, if you just miss the same shots that you made earlier, it's going to look a whole lot different. I mean, if some of those threes that we took go in like they were in the first half, then the whole game looks better.
What was your message to the team after the game?
We got to regroup. We got one game left. A little bit of what I just said to you about, team comes, they were embarrassed. They came out hungry in the second half. They got into us physically and we didn't match it. And that's something we've got to do a better job of. It's not something you just get in practice. It's partly a mental state. But if we could ever have a practice that was physical and we could work on some things, probably we could get a little better at duplicating it. Hopefully during the Olympic break, we can improve in that area.
And just one last one, we talked a lot about, shots not falling. Things definitely would have looked better if some of those shots have gone down. Is that one of those cases where, sometimes shots don't fall, or were you not happy with the shot selection?
Probably a little bit of both, but I would say that several people have wide open shots. They're the same threes that we normally get, and you got to make those. We miss some around the basket. if you're a wide open 3-point shooter and you make a couple and then you miss a couple, the good ones, the ones that go in look great and the other ones look awful. It's just you got to shoot 40-something% normally to win.
Was that final possession kind of an example of that? 2 good looks off of those Tina kickouts?
Yeah, I mean, we got good looks. I don't know. I mean, without rewatching it, I mean, I don't know if we could have got better or not.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Yep.
That's it, Coach. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Tina, how you doing? Obviously a tough one today. From your perspective, what was the biggest difference between that first and second half?
They came out with a sense of urgency, which we knew they would. But they came out with a sense of urgency. Jasmine Jones, that's her name. That's her name, right? Yeah, Jasmine Jones just gave them a great boost. And I think the energy and the momentum that they had, they just capitalized on it. You know, there were times we came down on offense and we weren't really executing. We weren't really having a flow. So that killed us as well.
What happened to that execution and that flow when it seemed to be working so well in the first 2 quarters?
What was working really well was, we were making shots, we were making threes, we were getting out in transition, we were pushing it, Z was pushing it, and it gets harder when they start making shots. And then, we were getting the ball in the post at the same time, and that was working well, and then we would deviate to being very stagnant on offense. So
that's what I was going to ask. Was this one of those, shots just don't fall sometimes kind of scenarios, or not exactly happy with the execution on that end to get good and better shots?
Yeah, you could say execution on the end to get good and better shots, capitalize on what's working. If you run a play and it works, keep running it until they stop it. That's just my opinion on things, but do things different here. So we'll see.
Third quarters it seems like you guys had gotten over the hump with those third quarter issues and they resurfaced again today. What do you guys talk about as a team? What do you say to the team when a scenario like this kind of pops back up?
I mean, I want to say at the end of the third, I'm not sure if we still had a double-digit lead at the end of the third. I could be wrong.
Yep, up by 10 at the end of the third.
Yeah, I'm sorry?
I said you were up by 10 at the end of the third.
Yeah, we had a double-digit lead. I mean, Coach T literally said after all of that, you still guys have a nice cushion. You still have a double-digit lead, but at the same time, they still had the momentum. They still had the confidence coming out of that third quarter.
How nice was it to play in front of Dad and play back at home?
It's always good to play at home. It's always good to have your family and friends come out and be able to see you live. I think that's what it is for, any player in the WNBA, and if there's a team in their home city. So it's always great.
And just one last one for me, that final possession, I think you got 3 offensive boards and good looks. Was that almost sum up the game? You got a couple of kickouts for good looks and they just didn't fall.
I missed 3 key free throws, from the technical foul to the 2 free throws I had. Z missed free throws, and us 2 are the ones you want to shoot it, right? You want your vets, those with experience, who's been in those positions. So if we made those free throws, it wouldn't matter, that those possessions that you're speaking to. But I mean, Leilani had a great look. Z had a great look. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Tina. Appreciate you.
Doug.
Hey, Tina, I know it's all about the win for you, but what was it like today just coming back to New York and playing against the team that you obviously were a huge part of their success over the years?
A lot of people ask me if I was going to be emotional, but again, my dream was to play at the Garden. My dream was to, and that's what I did. It's different playing here. It's like, this is a total new organization. It's total different people who are here. Bill Lambier isn't here, Dan Paterville, Kristen Burnett, the people who believed in me and brought me in. So I think if they were still here, it would be a whole different story. But, it's like playing against a team that happens to be in New York for me. But it's always good to have family and friends to be able to come by.
Was it nice, the ovation they gave you when they showed the video after the first quarter? I know you stand up and wave to the crowd a little bit.
Yeah, that was cool. Honestly, I was surprised. But yeah, so that was cool. It's always thankful. I'm always thankful.
Thanks, Tina.
That's it, Tina. Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Have a good July 4th. Be
You
safe.
too.
Hey, what's up, Shatori?
How you doing?
Good. First game back. How did it feel?
It felt great. It felt great. Love being back out there. You know, blessed for the opportunity to be back out there. Just definitely hope we could have came out with a win.
How long did it feel for? How long did it take for you to kind of feel like you were kind of in the groove and feel back natural, or did it?
I mean, it didn't take much. I know I'm like I said, I'm blessed for the opportunity, so I want to take advantage right from the get go. You know, like just start with the energy and fill in any voids I feel. Coming off the bench, you're able to watch the game a little bit, see how the game is flowing, and see spots that the team could probably need some help.
From your perspective, what was the biggest difference between that first and second half?
For sure, turnovers, like the little things, the turnovers, free throws, and I mean they didn't give up, and I mean we kind of knew that going in, but they threw their punch, and I don't think we responded as well as we could have. Their players came off the bench. Jasmine Jones was phenomenal. Rashonda Gray was definitely great with her energy as well. We definitely could have probably matched her energy a little bit better.
Does that get a little bit frustrating considering the time that you guys had off between games? It seems like this would have been a game that you guys felt a little frustrated just from the time off and kind of not be able to match that energy. Is that a little bit disappointing?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously not trying to make excuses, but we are still a little bit handicapped. But first half looked great. So there is no excuses because I mean we played our tails off in the first half. Definitely wish there was a better outcome, but we're not going to dwell on that. Still got a great break in between these next two games. We definitely want to go out and play Chicago as hard as we can so that we can go into the break with a good feeling.
And that was going to be my last question. You've got a good full week to rest up and recharge and get your minds right and all those good things. What's the biggest thing or a couple things that you guys really need to focus on during this 5 days, 7 days, I guess 6 days technically, before you guys hit Chicago one last time?
Ourselves. Focusing on ourselves, seeing how we can get better, places that we can get better. Of course, they're a great team, so we're going to focus on their personnel, but I think that there's areas that we can focus on, especially with a couple new faces, getting the chemistry rolling, getting the chemistry a little bit better, getting some people back, hopefully, and, building on what we already have.
Cool. Quick and easy. I appreciate you.
Thank you. No problem.
That's it. Thank you, Shatori.
No problem.
Hey there. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. What was the biggest difference between that first and second half?
Well, they upped their pressure and took us out of things, and I think we settled too much for outside shots, didn't get the ball inside enough. Part of it, we weren't pushing the ball, and then especially the last few minutes, we didn't get stops when we needed to.
Did that feel strange, because after the first half, it seemed like I think the first half might have been one of the best halves as an entire group that you guys have had. It seemed like everybody was in the mix, and then that changed so drastically. Was that a case of shots just not falling, one of those things, or I'm just curious what your perspective on that part of the game was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely a tale of two halves, like you said. Such a drastic difference between the first and second. I don't know. I don't know if we just sort of relaxed a little bit because we had a nice lead and everyone was playing well, or if we sort of just got deflated because our outside shots weren't falling. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I just know they upped their pressure. We didn't handle it well. We didn't meet it well. They took us out of what we wanted to do offensively. I mean, we still had a pretty good lead in the fourth. But like I said, the last few minutes, they went to their pick and roll with Sabrina, and she found open people and got some shots herself. So we kind of messed up our defensive scheme a little bit down the stretch.
That was going to be the next thing I asked. Mike said, they bullied you guys a little bit in that second half. Did that kind of throw you out of those schemes when they upped the physicality?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, definitely, even when they were on offense, you saw Leilani run over Ariel about 2-3 times. No foul, but we have to adjust to that. Obviously, they were being super aggressive in the second half, and hats off to them because they did what they needed to do to win. Still, we had a chance at the end. I had an open three. I should have made a few open threes. Z had one. We missed some free throws. So it was still there to win. We just unfortunately couldn't finish it off.
Got 6 days now before the final one against Chicago before the break. Obviously, I'm sure you guys want to, go into that with it would be nice to close out this first half of the season with a win. What's the biggest focus now that you guys have 6 days to prep for Chicago?
The first thing is get some rest, and then I'm missing the game because I've got to go for my national team. But when they come back in a few days, obviously still getting people acquainted with the offense and defensive schemes. Like Shatori, she came in and played amazing for us today. It helps that she already could remember the plays from a few years ago. But just being aggressive. Obviously Chicago has a lot of weapons. They've been playing really well. I think they lost their last game, but they were on like a 7-game win streak. So we just have to play with the same intensity for 40 minutes. We've got too many lulls, too many long stretches of not executing both offensively and defensively. So I'm sure that'll be a focus next week.
Yeah, I knew you were gone for the last one. When do you leave? Do you leave kind of immediately, or will you be here for a few days?
Yeah, I'll be leaving today.
Okay, cool. Well, congrats and enjoy your time back with the team, and we will catch up with you on the flip side.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's it, Leigh. Thank you. And enjoy your time at the Olympics.
Thank you.